City Soundoff on its very first Easter Sunday. This is the first Easter Sunday of the Peg City Soundoff, as this hasn't even been rolling a year, but we're at 549 followers now. Let's get to 600, and we'll give away some tickets to the Summerfest if there's any left. I don't know. I think I got 2 left here, but tonight a special night. Another April edition brought to you by the School of Rock Winnipeg. And you guys have seen School of Rock. You've seen those kids. Great people. Great kids. Lots coming from them. Still coming. They are the sponsor for April. And they are a sponsor for the Summerfest as well. But tonight, we're not talking about the Summerfest yet. We're talking about Matt Corey, Dale McIntyre, Joe Carson, Mike Sodoma, and Luke Clement. Some of the best guitarists in this province. We're talking gear tonight. We have some people tune in. We're down a couple of guys tonight. We're going to have to do guitar night 2 because of it now. God forbid we have to do this again.
We'll be here for all of them.
Yeah.
Nerding out about guitars again? Oh, no.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, we'll save the bass players for another night.
Yeah,
exactly. That'll be a fun night. Yeah, we'll talk about the guys who stand in the back later. So here we are, Matt Corey, Dale McIntyre. We're gonna go around the border. I think where we're gonna start tonight, we're just gonna talk about our live rigs, and I'll tell you guys a couple stories about yourselves that have inspired me as well. So let's start with Matt. Talk about what do you got for a live rig?
Hey man, well thanks for having me on again, man. Always a pleasure to come and hang out. So yeah, dude, as far as my live rig goes, I've actually switched things up quite a bit. Like, I mean, I had the same rig for honestly probably 10 years. And now I'm actually running my Line 6 Helix LT along with I'm actually using a Bose S1 Pro speaker, which is just this tiny little toaster sized speaker. And for guitars, I'm using my Sterling by Music Man guitars more these days than I have in the past. So it's been quite fun, man. Like, kind of just totally refreshing my whole sound. For years I had a supersonic and a pedal board full of lots of MXR stuff. I was a big MXR fan. And then one day I just decided that I just wanted to change it up. And I thought, I've been watching multi-effects boards for over a decade and how they've been evolving and stuff. So then I finally thought that, I'm going to take the plunge into multi-effects. Now I can carry a guitar in one hand and a suitcase in the other, and I'm basically good to go for the gig, So signs that, you're getting old, I guess.
I'm doing the same thing. Don't worry.
But,
how about yourself, man. Dale? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Matt.
Oh, no, that's all I had to say. All good.
Yourself. Dale, sorry, I'm going to cut you off here, but before we get to you, I'm going to tell you guys something. The 5 of you, something here. And I don't want any of you to take offense to this, but I have looked for tone for a while, and this story has come up a couple times on here. But I've always been kind of searching for this tone, and I find one I'm like, oh, I love it, love it, love it. Then I don't love it. Then I love it, love it, love it. Then I don't love it. And then I found one that I absolutely loved. I had a Black Star HT Club, and I had that, and it was fantastic. And I had this great tone. And then I went to the Northern Royals EP release for Hello Chaos. And all of a sudden, I decided I don't like my tone. I want Dale's tone. So let's get to Dale. Dale, talk us through your live rig and what I can do to achieve that.
Well, that's a big honor to hear, so thank you. It continues to evolve, but it really continues to simplify a lot. These days, it's really, especially with Northern Royals, it's just all about the Les Paul and the Vox AC-15-1. I played through a Fender DeVille for years and years, and had it fell into disarray at a certain point, but at the same time there was something else that I'd been chasing, and there's something about the Vox, whether it's a AC30, AC15, even their little weird miniature stack can kind of do this. There's something about the mid-range sound of those amps and a certain way that it cuts through without being too brittle. But it's a tough balancing act because you can definitely make it too brittle. But those are the real main ingredients these days that make that happen. If it's Exomerta, then just insert the harmonizers and a couple of fuzzy distortion pedals, and it's all there as well, more or less.
Awesome, Joe.
Yeah, how's it going?
Good. What's going on?
My live rig is very simple. It hasn't changed in about 3 years now. Prior to what I use now, I used to use Marshall and ESP. I use a Marshall stack always from the JVM 210 head, and then a cabinet with it. Nowadays, I don't like looking around the big stuff anymore, so I've sold all that. And then obviously, because I have some connections with EVH, I use the EVH 5150 Deluxe in the Purple Days finish, and EVH Wolfgang. Both have been upgraded to titanium Floyd Roses. And then that goes into a very small pedal board, which I only use one pedal on it. Basically, is my TS808, my tube screamer, and then it goes in through a chorus and a phaser, and out through a noise suppressor, and then a delay that's always on into a 5150. But that's been my live rig with Ash and the Arsonists now for almost, I guess, 2 years now, 2-3 years now.
Awesome.
Nothing's really changed, and the one thing I can say about everybody on here is that, like you said before about the picture of Mike's amp being on the Pure Entry page, like every single one of us, you could post a picture of our instrument or our amps, and you're going to know exactly who's there that night.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's excellent.
Yeah.
So let's get to the guy with the most obvious amp setup.
Well, I guess
Mike,
I guess I'll start with this. This is my Les Paul. This is kind of like my main guitar that I play with. I've tried different guitars over the years, and I don't know, I just keep coming back to Les Paul, man. It's just so comfy. Like, this one actually stays in tune surprisingly well.
Oh,
how'd you find that?
Yeah,
dude. I actually had a gold top one before this, and like I don't know what it was, but I guess there wasn't any retention wire in the bridge. And I'm like a notoriously bad for snapping strings, like while playing, and it would like literally just fall apart. Like it would the little like what do you call them? Like the little saddle pieces would just like literally like fall and like get lost. So I'd have to. I think I went through about 5 bridges of that guitar, and I just sold it because I was like, oh. So and then I kind of started missing my Les Paul again. I was like, oh man, this guitar really did something to me. So I had to go buy another one.
Yeah,
that's my main guitar, and I use a couple other guitars as well, but that's my main one. And then it's my board here. It's like, I use this pedal quite a bit, the Strymon. This is the first guitar pedal I ever bought. It's a Holy Grail reverb, like a little mini one.
Nice.
I'm going to use a little bit. But this pedal is like my new favorite one. It's called the DNM Drive by Keeley. This thing's awesome. It's like it kind of, on this side, it's like an overdrive, but then it's like a boost on this side. And if you play with the knobs enough, you can actually turn it into a bit of a fuzz. So it's actually kind of a sick little combo. And then I just played through my Rock Reverb 50 Mark II, and then I have a 1x12 cab to go with that. So it's still kind of big and kind of old school, but it's like manageable,
yeah, for sure,
like a 412 or anything like that. So, but I keep seeing those the quad Cortexes or the Line 6s, and I'm like, oh, that'd be pretty sweet to just have like one board, kind of like what you have set up there, Joel, or Matt, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
for sure.
It's so handy, and I'm like 31 now, so I'm getting old. Skateboarding my whole life, so I'm starting to fall apart. So
yeah.
The thing about having the digital board, honestly, is when you're like fumbling on stage to get your stuff set up, and something doesn't work on your board, and you're like, oh fuck, what is it, right? Yeah. And now you're going through every single patch cable, every single plug-in, and you're trying to adjust one is working or one's loose or whatever. But that is something I certainly do not miss having to do when I used to have board.
Yeah, man. Every time it happens at practice, I tell the guys, I'm just like, I need to get one of these boards, like fucking like all-in-one boards, man. It's so handy.
Yeah, for sure, right? Luke Clement, the one guy on the panel that has a song in an NHL video game. I'm never gonna let you down for this one. You should have.
I know
never
you're
told
gonna
me
keep
this.
going with that, So I'm not gigging now. So, but when I was gigging, I sold all my amps. But when I was gigging, my favorite. I had a lot of different rigs, but the one I liked the most was had the orange Dark Terror. It was like a 10-watt head with like 3 knobs on it, and I just like that was the coolest one I've owned out of all of them. I had like 5150 dual rectifier, but that one was definitely my favorite. And then just still rocking my 20-year-old Gibson SG. It's got its problems, but I love that guitar, and I love the way it sounds. And I mean, any Gibson with humbuckers in it, it rules, right? There's a reason why everyone has one, right? So, yeah, and that's pretty much it. Like and then like for me now, like I'm just using amp sims. Like they're so good now. Like you can see, like Matt's using the modeler and Mike's talking about, like they're so good now, right? So it's hard to say no to those. And you pay like $100 and you get like 50 models of amps that are worth more than my house, right? So
yeah,
it's kind of a no-brainer.
Yeah, we've had talks about that. When we meet up at shows, and put two guys who play guitar together, and you're gonna get some guitar talk out of it. And we've talked about that with the whole modeler, how things have evolved so much, and where it is now that, like, from a click of a switch, I'll go from I got a 5150 on there, and then it goes into a Fender amp, into a Marshall, into a Black Star, and click 4 pedals, right? And they're still pretty good though. I don't know if sometimes maybe it's not true to it, but when I got my my Tonex, one of the first things I did was go to the Black Star setting, and it's very close to what I had before. And it's just like Matt said, you walk around with a guitar in a suitcase now, and your setup's quite easy, not hauling around an amp anymore. Tell you, when you get to 41, the last thing you want to do is haul around a tube amp. I'll tell you that.
Well, it seems like the busier you are, the smaller the gear gets, right? Because you get tired of walking out of chairs. So good problem.
Absolutely. So talking about gear, and we saw Mike's pedal board. What are Matt? I guess it's kind of hard for us to, with you got the Helix and everything, but what are some of these classic pedals that are out there? I walk into Long McQuaid. I try and go at least once a month, but every time I go in there, I feel I'm gonna drop a bunch of money. But you can't help but walk around where the pedal boards are. Little island in the middle. If you've been to the Pembina location, of course. What are some of these classic pedals out there? Like you go from, I had a Big Muff at one time. It was like an op amp, and you open the box and it said pumpkin pie, and it was basically the tone that Billy Corgan used on the Gish and the Siamese Dream albums.
Siamese Dream.
And now, unbelievable.
Is that the one where you open it up and you look on the circuit board and it'll have a name of a Pumpkins tune on the circuit board and the pedal?
I never took that thing apart, man.
I can't remember which one it was. Back when I worked in a music store, there was a certain some sort of muff that like if you took the bottom piece off, it had a Pumpkins tune literally like etched into the circuit board, and supposedly they were all different.
Really
cool. Oh, that's cool.
He opened it up and he showed me. I don't know, but yeah, man, pretty sweet.
I don't know if you're. I'm assuming you might be seeing my wife's message here.
Yeah.
Supervised.
I think that could. I don't know if everybody here's got wives or girlfriends, but I think all of them would probably say the same thing here.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
A lot of times I've gone in for picks and come out with like a pedal or a new guitar or something. It's uncountable.
Isn't it? It's a great feeling though, right? And you know what? Just to kind of counter my my wife's comment here, while she watches this, and thinks those poor suckers spending all their money on that. You've all seen. I'm sure you've all seen me with my Tom DeLonge Starcaster. That pink guitar, I had no intention on buying it. I solely put this on her because she said, "Oh, that would look good on the wall." Damn right it would, and it did. And I had no problem. But we have the she just said it here. We got the 1 in 1 out system.
No.
Values just 1 in 1 out.
The correct number of guitars to have is the amount you already have plus 1.
Okay,
Agreed.
there it is.
Agreed.
There it is. Well, the joke was on her because I got rid of one and it was half apart and in a case and I hadn't used it in forever. But it was 1 in, 1 out. Value doesn't matter. Do you guys live by any guitar rules where too much is too much?
Yeah.
You know, I try to because back in the day doing the EXO shows, it got up to a point where there was 4 discrete guitars per show to change through, and then we started doing some fly out gigs and stuff like that, and really quickly had to try to make it work. And I think on the first or the second one, it was like, oh, I can do all of this with 1 guitar. Like, I don't know why I deluded myself to being like, oh, well, I have to bring out the other Hagstrom too. and I think that was my kind of jump into the foray of downsizing and also kind of coming from, I'm sure Luke can attest to this a little bit with coming from some of the mixing and production world. You know, a lot of what I do on stage is a lot of turning knobs and, you know, rolling a tone pot all the way down for, you know, 1 guitar solo and then right back. And it's almost the same thing as hitting a pedal on and off at times, but that's kind of saved me too from some of the, well, I could add this other fuzz pedal here and just leave this setting all the time, or just keep turning knobs on stage.
You know, one of the best pieces of advice I ever received was from this guitar player, and this was back when I was just getting started. It was like, man, like, you know, what kind of gear should I buy to, you know, get good? And like, what do I need that's essential and everything? And this guy, his name was Nathan Crook. He was a terrific guitar player. And he turned to me and he says, man, you just need a volume knob. And then he walked away. I was like, what the hell does that mean? What do you mean? You know, I'm a teenager at the time, right? I'm like, what? You know, a volume knob? What do you mean? Turn it off and turn it on? What does that mean? But dude, that is everything, dude. Like dynamic and everything else. Yeah, man. Completely agree with what you know, turning up and down your tone and everything. But yeah.
There it is.
I don't know if you can see it,
Joel.
but there is a 1 volume knob guitar.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Love it.
My main guitar has it's called the treble bleed system on it. So on the volume knob, so when you turn it down all the way to like the 1 on the volume knob, it sounds just as loud as it would at 10, but it's clean.
Oh,
cleaned up.
Oh, nice.
And it's got a smooth rhythm all the way up to 10. So there's no tone drop out at 1 compared to being at max. And it's a low friction pot too, so it's super fast to go do the volume swells on it. But for me, like the rules of playing guitar for myself is I play 8-gauge strings, so I have to have 2 guitars. I will break strings not often because I have a very light touch when I'm playing. But if I don't have a backup guitar, I don't feel comfortable at all because with the 8-gauge strings, they're so thin.
Yeah.
I never would have guessed that you were playing 8s from all the gigs I've seen you do. Wow.
8s, 7s or 8s, depends.
You play 7s too? Like what tuning are you in?
E flat.
Oh, really? Okay. I actually thought you guys were lower than that. Okay.
And well, the Burn song is in it's a 6-string guitar with the low E string drop down to A flat.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay.
And everything else is E flat. Yeah.
8s though. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I play 11s like all the time, even in standard and stuff. Yeah, I don't know.
Len Milne over at Bedside Studio did try to play the 8 strings once, and they did because he uses like 12s or 13s, and it was too wiggly for him.
Well, that's the boat that I'm in. Yeah, I never had any tuning stability live until I got up to 12 and now 13s. And seeing you play, yeah, I'm like, wow, that's incredible that he can keep it all so straight and so in tune.
Yeah, that's
With
crazy.
the gauge string,
No kidding,
because it's very light. Sorry?
Cool.
Yeah.
Joe, your volume bleed. What kind of guitar was that on? Or your
It's on my
treble
EVH.
bleed?
It's on all my
Yeah.
EVHs.
Okay, that's what I have
Yeah.
on my Strat. It's got that, and it's super cool.
Treble bleed,
You
yeah.
lose
Oh, they're so
you
nice.
lose node tone, right? It sounds fantastic.
It's such a nice invention that I think it's just a little resistor that in between the bridging of the wiring, between the volume pot and the output. So it just allows it so that when you're wiggling it, you can keep all the tone.
Mhm.
Yeah. Oh, it's awesome. Have any of you built any guitars?
Modded a bunch.
Nope.
I built one from.
Have you?
I would love to, though.
Yeah.
I love the
That'd be
idea
cool.
of doing that. Yeah.
It's like a thing in
Working on
school
one
now,
right
eh? Are ya?
Yeah, working on one
It's
right now.
it's a thing like in some schools. My buddy's kid is like, it was even last year, I think it was.
Oh, give me one second.
He
Give me
like
one
sent
second.
me
I have
this
to-
like book on. He had a book on
have
building
one.
guitars, and it's like, oh, that's kind of cool. You pay like a package
wow.
price, and I see people doing it. There's a guy that comes to my work, and that's what he does. He buys these like it's like IKEA guitars, you know.
Yeah.
You put it all together.
I'm tempted to get
Oh,
one
here
of
it
those
comes.
warm-up kits, you know, like for a specific shape, like a Jazzmaster shape or something.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. But
So I built this guitar in high school.
Nice.
This was with the technology program. So it's a Fender copy, but it's a left-handed guitar that I've strung up right-handed to do a Jimi Hendrix thing.
yeah.
Yeah,
So it's
cool.
Sit down, and I used to do it with my old band and play Purple Haze on it.
Sick.
Sweet.
Why not, right?
You never lit it on fire though, right?
No, I never lit this one on fire, but I did try to paint it Olympic white. It didn't quite come out Olympic white.
Looks good though. It's good.
Yeah.
Are you guys all wah pedal users?
Oh yeah.
Which ones do you got? What's your brand?
I just have the classic Dunlop that's on its last leg, so I'm going to replace it with another Dunlop next week. And
nice.
that's all I've ever really used. The nice thing with that one, they have the like the built-in boost that you can turn on and off, and that's kind of nice for, you know, sometimes you lose quite a bit of gain depending on where your gain is actually at within your pedal rig when you turn it on.
Yep.
So it's nice to not have to worry about that at all. But then eventually you just end up leaving it on all the time without realizing it. And then one day you try to play without that pedal and you go, oh no, I've accidentally built my whole sound on the back of this weird boost in this Dunlop pedal.
Yeah.
I just got rid of the wah pedal.
Oh, I've
I
been
just
needing
got
to
rid of
buy
the wah
one
pedal.
for a very long time.
Did you?
I can't find one that I like. Like I find like a lot of them get really shrill, like, you know, on the high end there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any recommendations? Like
The regular old Dunlop GCB 95 is pretty good. The slash wah is really good.
okay.
And like for my personal favorite was the Morley, one of the old Morley wahs that was when my first ever wah pedal was a Morley. I don't
Okay.
have it anymore. I wish I still did. Thing was very like super light on the wahness of it.
Yeah.
But it sounded killer.
Okay. Was that Crazy Horse? No, the Morley. What is that one called?
No. It was just a regular Morley. It was just a classic
Okay.
wah, I think it was what it was called. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. What's that horse one?
Yeah,
the
the bad
bad
horse
horsey.
that's the one.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Steve
That was
Vai
pretty
wah.
fast, too.
That's the Steve Vai one, I'm assuming. Bad horse.
Yeah, I think
Actually-
that one has like a spring-loaded thing in it or something, so it's like a little easier to kind of. So like when you push, you just basically take your foot off. That means the wah's off instead of like trying to like
Right.
or something.
You
Hey,
know,
has anybody seen or used there's like one, I think it's almost like an expression pedal that you can use within most wahs where it's like a weight sensing device.
Ooh.
So it just knows when you touch on it. That's what I want to do.
That's cool.
I want one. Yeah. I don't use a wah pedal anymore. I use the talk box more now than I use the wah pedal. I cut out the wah because I felt like I was relying on it too much, and it was really starting to hamper the way that I play it. Because I would use it to cover up the super fast parts, and I didn't want to do that anymore because I wanted to just actually learn how to play them. Like some songs need a wah. Like if they're in the set where I need a wah, absolutely going to use them if I need it. But for the most part, I just stick to the talk boxes, as Dale knows.
I love that thing.
So cool, eh?
Yeah.
Is that an MXR you have, Joe?
The MXR talk box, yes.
Yeah, it's the same one I had. I ended up selling it, I think, because I was trying to use it on everything.
Yeah.
It's like, you know what the best way to stop using something is getting it out of your house, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. No, I've actually gotten not too bad, like little wah tunes. Like I've been the Phase 90 from MXR, and just like putting it at like 9 o'clock or something, like really low. You almost kind of get like a bit of an auto wah, you know, like it's not quite a wah, but it's like just kind of a little subtler, you know. But I've been like, yeah, I need to get a wah. I'm at that point in my guitar playing. Yeah.
You know what I would suggest? Check out the Jerry Cantrell signature wah. It's very sounding. It's not nearly as piercing as the other ones. Okay. My buddy who actually showed me the names in the Smashing Pumpkins titles in the pedals actually bought that Jerry Cantrell wah.
Really?
And none of that really piercing shrill sound anyway. From what
cool.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Any of those signature wahs that they do, they're pretty. Like if you listen to any of the artists that they actually do the signature wahs for, they're very, very true to what they have.
Okay. I do like Alice in Chains, so I think maybe
the Cantrell wah. I've also heard, Matt, that they're very, very good.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, for sure. Right?
Sick. Okay.
So here's something kind of off the board of talking about MXR and Dunlop and all that stuff. But I use a wah on one song, and Dale was just talking about this expression pedal in one. Now I don't know if you can see it because my green screen absolutely fucking hates me, but I have this little red box here. There, you see it a little bit better, and you can see by the size of my hand. So it is literally a Joyo, but I use it on one song, but it works as an expression as well. There's some pretty cool things. There's a volume boost on it, of course, and I wasn't gonna go break a bank on one. Plus, my board isn't very big with the amount of crap I got on it right now. But it's one of those things that if you're gonna use one a lot, this is kind of weird to say, but if you're going to use one, make sure you're getting a good one. I use one on one of our songs, and sometimes I forget to even click it on, so it just kind of sits there and reminds me that I have one. But it's a mini, and I used to have a Dunlop mini, and I feel like it was even smaller than this one. But I just don't use one enough. But it's always cool to hear people who use them, what they have, because there's you Google online or whatever, and it's like top 10 wah pedals or whatever, and it's usually the same ones, but there's usually one that's switched out with another usually a newer model of something, right?
So what would you say are the essential pedals that you never leave home without? What would be those? I know for me, like delay and actually wah, and the compressor and delay are on almost all the time, but the wah is kind of whenever I see fit. But those are the two I absolutely have to have.
Oh, dude, mine's the tuner, man.
That was my answer too.
Yes, that too.
Yeah.
Also, that D&M too. I think that's my other one, and the Holy Grail. Those are like my two. I think that I can't.
I'd be the tuner and the whammy, oddly enough.
Nice.
I've really, really come around to how versatile those things actually are beyond just being able to do the Tom Morello thing. There's a really weird, ugly, kind of lo-fi chorus setting built into them.
And love that.
Yeah.
That's that Digitech one, right? Like the big red pedal there? Yeah.
Yeah, you bet.
Yeah, those are
Dale, do you have the one with the drop?
There's a drop tune and a dive bomb setting in it, so you can go down 2 semitones, and then you can do the dive bomb thing as well.
Yeah, that's the one that I had. Actually, that's it that Matt has right there.
Oh, beauty!
Oh,
Yeah. Very cool.
Pretty cool, versatile device, right? Do a lot of cool stuff with that.
People don't realize, man, especially with this one, because you have that detune function, which basically turns it into a course pedal.
Yeah.
Then you have all the harmonies and stuff, and then changing your tuning and everything. Oh man, this is a great pedal.
Yeah.
Beat the shit out of this thing over the years.
How about yourself, Luke? Luke, when you were kind of going there with your band there, what were you using?
When I was playing, the wah was honestly I used the wah sometimes because my solos were sloppy, so I would just crank the wah on, and I could kind of mask some of my sloppiness. But the wah, and then I had a tube screamer, the Maxon pedal. That was like essential for me. I just love the mid push that thing gives, extra mid range push. And then the tuner, but I wasn't a big pedal guy, to be honest. So I was playing in punk rock band, right? So I didn't need a ton of effects really, but yeah, it was pretty much just like the Maxon, the wah pedal, and then I think I had a delay pedal, but that one wasn't essential for me. I think just the Maxon and the tuner pedal and the wah, and I was happy. Go to town. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Joe, sorry I cut you off there. You were going to say something.
Where does everybody like to put their effects? Like, do you guys use the effects loops or anything? Because I know my delay sits in the effects loop, but the chorus and phaser I don't like in there. I've tried them in the back, but pushing the front of the amp sometimes is the best fit for me. What do you guys feel on the effects loop of amps?
I'm the same with you, man. I used to put my delay through the effects loop. Sounded beautiful because I used to use amp distortion more than I would use actual.
Yeah, same.
But yeah, trying to plug in like the Phase 90, for example, it's through the effects loop. I didn't like it myself, or the chorus, any of the modulating effects, which they say, as far as I know, you should put those through the effects loop. But
yeah,
I don't know. I like them better through the front myself, but.
Yeah, I've been running everything through the front lately. I actually kind of pay a lot of attention to what I can kind of hit the front of the amp with, and I mean, even the whammy even adds gain, and sometimes that can be a good or a bad thing. But there's only one. I have a weird Moog overdrive on my board that it sounds completely different through the loop or into the front of the amp. So I try to keep that thing into the front as much as possible if I'm going to be using it. But it's more of a pedal that gets used for EXO than anything else, anyways. So. Just some extra cables for the EXO shows.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I've thought about putting the Holy Grail kind of at the back. Like my rock reverb's needs a little bit of repair. The reverb tank's kind of shot in it, and so I've been kind of like, kind of humming and hawing. But I don't know. Yeah, the front. I agree. It sounds like the best. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's also less complicated too. Right? You're gonna set up for a show, and you gotta like put it through the effects loop and all that stuff. I don't know. It's like extra time and
yeah.
It's easier to throw a board and like cable it up,
Here's a question. What would you guys do? You have like a brand that you can go to that is going to get the job done for what you're looking to do? Like for me, we did a blind test back when I worked in the music store. I'm a huge MXR fan. And we did a blind test of all these different pedals against MXR. 9 times out of 10, I picked the MXR pedal. The only time I didn't was actually the Phase 90, believe it or not. I chose the Electro Harmonics phaser, whatever that one's called, over the Phase 90, which I thought was really interesting. But what's your go-to brands for pedals?
I don't know if I really have any go-to brand on pedals, but I know that, if you're going to hear certain names, you know exactly what you're getting out of it. And of course, the name is escaping me right now, but the Boutique guys, they make the Big Crusher pedal. Sorry, what was yours?
Is it JHS?
No, they have some really cool stuff though. It's gonna bug me, so I'm gonna look it up actually.
Quaker maybe?
Mods, like Keeley?
Quaker maybe, yeah. There's a few. I don't mind MXR. Like if I'm gonna go, like say with you, Matt, like, I'll go to MXR first. MXR or Boss. Those things are tanks.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. Those
I mean, I
things, you
think
could them off a building and they'll survive totally fine.
My phase 90 I've dropped before and it still works. It still works.
Earthquaker was the one that I was.
Earthquaker.
Yeah.
They got that Plumes one, Earthquaker Plumes or whatever it is.
Yeah.
That
I think I don't know. Like personally, I don't really have a go-to, but I'd say Earthquakers makes probably the coolest pedals. Like I don't know, like I get booed here, but I know they have like stuff like the Data Corruptor, which is just like a video game pedal on steroids. Like it just it's like a Super Mario tone or something. Like
yeah,
I kind of like I've been toying with the idea of buying that just for fun. Just kind of like just making stupid little noises with it, but I think it could be really useful in a lot of ways. But
for sure,
I think they're the coolest. I don't really have a go-to though. Like my board's full of all kinds of different stuff. So
I mean, you'd bring a whole new sound to Pure Entry with that thing, right?
Well, I'm thinking like honestly for some cool, like little leads and stuff like that. I think just some of those weird like synth kind of tones with like the weird kind of beepity boopities. I don't know. Also between like kind of between songs could be kind of cool too if you want to have like a cool kind of feedback or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It'd be cool to have. Like it might just look cool on the board too. Like I might not even use it, but
as long as it looks cool, it does something.
Exactly.
I don't know if any of you have the speaking of brand stuff, an MXR carbon copy delay. It's probably I think I've had 5 delays in my life, and this one I don't think I would ever replace this thing. I absolutely love the carbon copy, but if you take the right and the left knobs and you turn them both inward at the same time, you get the craziest shit you'll ever hear, right? And I'm trying to find a way to incorporate it into one of our songs, but I think we're too pop for me to pull out some weird shit like that. So
wait, what are you talking about there, Joel? So it's like what the regen and the mix, you turn those to the left, or what are you talking about?
Sorry, 1 second.
Yeah,
I think it is the regen and the mix, because when you do it, it makes like it sounds like
it's actually the regen and the delay.
Oh, okay.
Turn them both inwards at the same time, and right before it hits the end, you get the craziest it's the weird. And I did it on accident actually the one day. And then I'm like, oh, this is gonna like somewhere it's gonna happen, right?
Yeah,
but it's
that's
cool.
How I like. It's so funny when you come up with weird sounds. That's how I came up with the drill.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, right?
Your guitar kind of started going.
We were fucking around, and I grabbed the drill and put it on the string and hit the button, and there it was. And all of a sudden, I'm stuck doing that for the rest of my career.
Joe is the drill thing. Is it the sound of the drill go? I never really. I don't want to say I didn't pay attention because I don't want to be like that.
It is the sound of the drill going through the pickup. So what it is?
It's the pickup.
The motor is spinning over top of the pickup.
Yeah. So it's super cool that you do that, because I remember a couple years ago I saw a video of Scott Weiland dead and bloated on Core. Screaming into the pickup, and I thought, oh shit, that's how he did it. Like, there's 100 different ways you could probably do that, but he screamed into the pickup, and I thought that is the coolest thing. And then I saw Paul Gilbert with the drill, but he had picks on the drill, and it was just rapidly picking the strings. And then I saw you do it, and I'm like, I think it's just the noise into the drill. And that was before I saw you play live, so
it is just. The
I mean, it's a pretty cool thing, right?
You know who I stole that from? Eddie Van Halen.
Pound cake.
Pound cake.
Is that what it is? There you go.
Off the Fuck album is where that came from, and that is it was so cool to hear it done then. But I use an impact gun now, and it screams in that pickup.
For sure, right?
Different tools make different tones. Is that kind of like
when we were in the studio recording Left 4 Dead, we had 3 different drills, and the Milwaukee one, because it was
I was gonna ask, was it Milwaukee or DeWalt?
Yeah.
Only Milwaukee.
I think
you
it's
consult your
guys
local
choose
Mac
brand,
Tools guy.
Like what sounds better?
Pretty much.
Milwaukee
before
guy. Okay.
before I get to the next thing, I know Luke, you're backing up soon here, right? Just want to kind of throw some at you. We talk about influences a lot, and I kind of know where some of you may go, but who are some influences on the gear that you buy? Not necessarily using what they use, but just maybe chasing a certain sound, a certain tone with things. I'll kind of start with you here, Luke. Just who are some guitarists you looked up to, and it's like, I kind of want to sound like that. What do I have to do to get there?
For me, I think like I don't know. I just like I just listen to records that I really like, and like I don't know. Like I used to listen to like just any like big like just awesome song, right? Like Nickelback always has like I know Dale loves Nickelback too. Like they always have sick guitar tones, right? Like
Oh yeah.
and it's hilarious because everybody says they hate Nickelback, but they have the coolest sounding records, right? So I don't know. Like I kind of listen to records, and that's usually any just banging rock record. Like that's the tone I'm constantly chasing. So it doesn't really matter. Like I'm a huge fan of like lately it's been like Marshall amps and like especially the older models. But I don't know. I'm always looking for. I don't like super like scooped sounding. Like for certain productions or if I'm looking for something stylistic, I'll go for like a more scooped amp. But I'm definitely a big fan of like really mid-heavy amps that got like a really sick mid-range because it just cuts through so good, right? So I don't know. For me, that's what I'm looking for. I just want like a really sick like rock tone that I've heard on lots of records, and then I'm just trying to find the amp that can get me the closest to that, more or less. And for me, it's been Marshalls lately. I find Marshall amps, because they've been used for so long, right? So on so many like kick-ass rock records, right? So that's what I'm looking for usually. Just like I listen to something, a record that I really like, and I'm gonna try to kind of mimic that. So more or less.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome. Let's go the reverse order. How about yourself, Mike?
You know what? Like for tone for me, I kind of just like having a really thick tone. Like that's kind of part of the reason why I like the Les Paul humbuckers. So I kind of like having some kind of overdrive with a little bit of a boost, like nothing too crazy, but just something, if you grab two strings, you want to bend them up, like it just like it gives you that really nice, like kind of like what Luke was saying there, like nice little mid-range kind of like, you'll have like a little bit of meat there to play with, like it's, it's not super thin. I don't know. I guess like who I kind of like tone wise is like, I kind of go from mix of like anywhere from like Matt Pike from Sleep to like Dallas Green of like City and Color, right? Like it's kind of like I like those really lush reverbs, but I also love just like crazy fuzz, right? Like I'd probably say like John Tommy and John Frusciante are kind of my two favorite like guitar players tone wise. I think like just kind of what they can get. But I think for pedals, I don't really know. Like I don't really know what gives me that. I would just say those guys are kind of like what I really like, kind of getting a baseline tone from. Same as Dallas Green too. Like if I'm playing cleans, I love those like lush reverby kind of feedbacky kind of tones. But I know that's probably a terrible answer, but
no, it's good. I was listening to City and Color on the drive today. I was listening to City and Color and just hearing some of the clean tones. It was like, oh shit, this is actually pretty cool.
Some cool, like weird, like reverby, like some fuzz tones in there too. Like on some of their newer stuff. It's cool, right? Like it's and Kings of Leon too have some really cool tones in their guitars. Like they kind of go from bluesy to kind of like that kind of pop ballady kind of stuff. Yeah. And so I don't know. That's where I kind of like my bass lines, kind of somewhere in between there. But
yeah, for sure, right? Yeah. How about yourself, Joe?
I guess my like for tone, like chasing tone, the big three in my book are George Lynch. I've been following, trying to play off his style for years. Him and Paul Gilbert for sure. For like Paul Gilbert's clean tone on "Just Take My Heart" is something I'm trying to achieve live. Getting close, and then the ultimate like mid-range, crunchy, satisfactory, like all that rings the ears really nicely. There's one note in "Jamie's Crying" by Van Halen, and it's the wow wow. And he does that. That is the peak guitar tone in my opinion of all time. I've never heard another better distorted guitar tone than that. And it's like one or two notes in that song.
You sum it up in 2 notes. It's awesome.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
pretty much.
Yeah. How about yourself, Dale?
Well, obviously, listening to the songs I've been a part of and stuff, Queens of the Stone Age, Josh Homme's just always been the biggest influence, and there's something about it's Josh Homme and Jack White for me. There's something about how visceral their playing is, and how the tones that they use play off of that. So whether it's a weird practice amp or a broken acoustic guitar, or those are things that are all over the recordings that I've been a part of. Kind of like what Luke was saying, whatever it takes to get that sound, without being too precious about what that particularly is. So, again, right now it happens to be that the Vox and the P90s and my Les Paul happen to get that kind of Zeppelin-y thing that I've been after lately. But I mean, Mick Mars, Motley Crue, that's equally a part of what I hear in the guitar when I think about what I want mine to sound like.
Awesome.
Soldano and a Silver Jubilee.
What's that?
Soldano and a Silver Jubilee.
That would do it. Yep. Yep.
Matt Corey.
You're the Soldano guy.
Huge sound for Matt Corey when I last saw you play. Yeah. Tell us what you got.
Oh, well, as far as influences, tones I'm trying to chase, I love how you mentioned Mick Mars. The Carnival of Sins live album, dude. That guitar on there, freaking gigantic. It is unreal. That might be my favorite guitar tone of all time. I love his tone on that. Another one would actually be, and Joe, you get a kick out of this, the Balance album from Van Halen.
Yes.
Seventh Seal, that stuff, like Amsterdam, man. Oh, give a listen to Amsterdam, and the chorus is just cranked. Oh, man. It's so good. I love it so much. I would also say that probably the Black Gives Way to Blue album by Alice in Chains, the guitar that are freaking ferocious. And Luke, you mentioned Nickelback, man. Instantly I thought of Animals, dude. Like that honk.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh
yeah.
Oh,
the low end. Oh my god.
Right? And then
that was
a little bit, and some of the later Big Wreck stuff. Man, that fuzz is gigantic as well, dude. It is so ferocious. A song like You Caught My Eye from the Albatross album. Oh my god, man. Like that dirty fuzz sound, man. Oh, it's beautiful. I love it. But those would be some of the guys that I'm chasing anyway, to some degree. I mean, I once I heard this thing back when I first started working at a music store, probably right around the time when the guy told me about the volume knob. I asked one of the employees that worked there, I was like, man, like what pedals do I need and all this stuff to get good and everything. And the employee that I asked had worked in the store for like 35 years, right? So he's seen it all, kind of deal. And he looked at me and he did these, and walked away. So I had a volume knob and I had hands. What do you guys think of that idea, though, in terms of like, how much of the tone is coming from your hands? What do you guys think of that idea?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, it's so much about the player too, right? Like I remember, like, I used to have, like, my dad, my dad's a guitar player, and like I took lessons for a long time, and I remember just playing, and then he would play, and he's like, how do you get it to sound like that? We're both playing through the same amp. And I was just explaining to him, I'm like, how you play and how hard you pick and all those things make a big difference too, right? You can get a bunch of guys playing through the same amp, but those guys can all play differently, and the sound can come out all differently, right? So the player has a lot to do with it too, right? So
it all comes down to intention, and I always tell people this when I'm teaching. It's like, what are you trying to go after? Are you trying to be gentle and soft and sweet, or are you trying to be mean and fucking ferocious or whatever, and it all comes down to intent, in my opinion, anyway.
Yep.
Yeah, I think everybody's got like their own internal kind of rhythm or their own internal kind of voice, and I think that really comes out. Like if you listen to certain songs, you kind of like the way it goes, like and you kind of get that in your head, right? And you're kind of like, oh, maybe that's kind of how I want to play. I think that's kind of where your tone comes from a lot too, in your brain compartment there.
Mm-hmm.
With the quality of all the musicians that we have in this chat tonight, like Dale can plug into Mike's rig and sound like Dale, and the other way around. Like you're gonna sound, like each of us are gonna sound exactly like us through anybody's rig, regardless of what's there. Because it is, I personally believe it is all in the hands. Like you're not gonna find, like with me and Mike when we do a show together next. Plug into my rig, I'll plug into yours. We're gonna sound like us. We're not gonna sound. I'm not gonna sound like you, and you're not gonna sound like me, right?
Yeah, no,
it's all in the hands.
Yeah, for sure. And with that being said, Joe, and completely nailed it there. A couple of interviews that I've watched. Billy Corgan. I'm a big Pumpkins guy. I love Pumpkins. I love the sound, especially off Siamese Dream. And you probably know where I'm going with this if you've seen this before, but Billy Corgan wanted to try Eddie Van Halen's rig, and he's looking around. He says, "Well, where's your distortion pedal?" And there was no distortion pedal, and just the sound of it. He said Billy Corgan couldn't control the sound of it, and it's two completely different things. And you're absolutely right. If you plug into Van Halen's rig, you're not going to sound like Eddie. You can play it like him, but you're not going to sound like him, right? Vice versa. If Eddie plugged into Corgan's rig, I'm sure it'd sound a little bit different, right? So,
he's not going to take that tone of Cheryl Brock or any of those Butterbullet with butterfly wings. He's not going to sound like that, right?
Yeah,
exactly. And you've heard it. You've heard it before too. It's just people plugging into other people's rigs and saying, "Well, I can't get that sound." And it's like, well, no, it's in the player too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I used to jam with a buddy. He was a drummer, right? And he has another friend that's a guitar player, and I would use his. He had a Mesa Boogie triple rectifier, like 4x12 kind of kit, super badass amp. And I would play through, and he's like, "Oh man, you sound totally different than when my buddy plays through it. Like no pedals, no nothing, right?" And so yeah, that totally goes to show just like the way you play and the way you think about music is like. I feel like that's what makes it there.
Yeah. Well, look at how many bands have made a career out of a Les Paul and a Marshall. I mean, that's
like all of them.
Yeah, that's everyone. Exactly. Yeah, but they all sound like themselves.
Yeah, for sure, right? I'm just gonna give a little shout out here. Eric Easfeld here says, "Eric, can tell you firsthand, Mike pulls out some pretty gnarly sounds." For sure, right? It's a good high praise there. Says he's been listening to Big Wreck lately too. And Eric, we're gonna get you. I'm gonna get you on here someday when we do a bass gear night. But you may have the most bass gear of anyone's pedalboard I've seen. So
Eric thinks I get gnarly sound. Eric gets some fucking gnarly bass.
Yeah, like Eric he had like double compresses things. Am I correct, Eric? I'm pretty sure we've had this talk, and yeah, super cool, great guy, great bass player.
He's a beast of a bass player.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah,
one of the few bass players I've ever recorded where I said, actually, keep the chorus on. It sounds cool.
Yeah.
No, he gets everything so quick. It's
yeah.
Yeah.
We love
him. Big respect to everyone here, all your bass players. Matt Curry's fantastic. Kendra, I love watching Kendra play. She brings a lot to the to the Royals there, and I should do a bass one sometime. I'd like to get Kendra on here. That'd be fun.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta peek out. Sorry to cut you off, but everything.
No problem, man. I think we're about wrapping up anyway. So cool night just to kind of talk about guitars, and it would be very rare that all six of us would be in the same room. Although, Matt, if you come in July, we'll all be in the same room. Just thinking about now, I think you're all part of the Summerfest there, right? So, but you know what, Matt? If I can make it a success this year, it's been talked about a few times. I'm going to try it again next year, but I'm going to go bigger next year. I can have more bands. and I'd love to have you come in for that too, right?
Yeah,
So
man, it'd be part of that.
I gotta make it big. How's everyone's ticket sales going? We good?
All right, I'm out,
Oh, yeah.
guys. Peace out.
Okay.
Good seeing
Thanks,
you,
Matt.
Everybody.
Matt, I'm doing a 90s night one night. I want you to come back on for 90s night.
I'm there, my man. I promise.
Absolutely.
Okay, catch you later, buddy.
There's that.
Hey, later, dude.
Later.
Awesome.
Report.
And then before. Right on, guys. Well, thanks for coming on tonight and talking guitars. Always fun to have you all on. This isn't your first time you've been on. This is I always joke about getting the jackets. Luke, I think this is your fourth now. Joe, you're probably on 4. Dale's on 2. Mike, you're on 2. You're doing good for being the new guy here.
Yeah, a couple 2 months.
Right on. Well, yeah, thanks, guys.
Wanted to say before we end here how much fun I have watching all of you guys play over the last year and a half. It's been amazing getting to work with Dale on the Burn EP. Dale did our mixing, and that's what I was going to say when you were talking about the Nickelback tone, because that's what he told us to go after in the studio. It was the quad track guitars and make sure it's big, make sure it sounds huge. And I can't thank Dale enough for what he did. And to watch Mike play in Pure Entry now is so cool. Everybody here is insanely talented, and it's so nice to watch.
Right back at you, man.
Yeah, likewise. You know what? It's really cool that we can jump on a call like this, and I look up to everybody here.
Yeah,
and that's just such a unique experience to have.
Yeah. Dude, in my head,
it really is.
I could keep talking for another 2 hours. Like, I'm like, oh,
yeah,
man.
I know.
You guys need to see me and Dale's Facebook chats, because that's
the walls of text one after another. Yeah.
And you know what? And that's how I feel. I've had more time with you, Luke, just kind of out on the scene. But whenever we're together, it's always just a great talk about music and gear and guitars and just great players around the city. And like the group that I had on here tonight, like you guys are some of my favorite guitarists in the city, right? And there's a lot of really good ones, but there's some that I hold really, really dear to me, and that's why, especially with the Summerfest, I wanted you guys really involved in it, right? You're all part of my favorite bands in the city, my favorite local bands. The list keeps growing and growing and growing, but you guys all got me into the scene and wanting to promote the scene. So, great having you all on. You all are just unbelievable players too. Like I said, Dale, you made me go back to my search for tone when I first saw you. That was the first time I saw you actually play. Was that EP release? And then Joe Carson. Like, I can't say much more about you. You're phenomenal up there. When Ronnie Ladderbrook is in the crowd watching someone and he says to you, "Hey, that guy's really good," like you shut your mouth and you watch the guy play, right? Mike, obviously, Mike, I remember seeing you years ago at Bulldog there, and we got a great Bulldog story. We got the Mike broke a string, had to get someone to get him a guitar.
I think I broke 2. It was like and I was like,
so
I don't have another guitar.
When I saw Mike, I'll maybe end my my chat here with seeing Mike play Bulldog. He broke a couple strings, and a gentleman from the crowd got him a guitar to finish the set. And then when we played at Bulldog, our vocalist broke a string, and Mike so graciously handed him his Gretsch, which Eric then dropped on the stage mid-song. And I hope the Gretsch still lives, but a real cool full circle moment for you, buddy. Mike, you're a phenomenal guitarist. I remember hearing when you joined Pure Entry, I thought, oh, this is like shit's getting real now. So, and Luke, I can't say much more about you, man. You're Luke Clement. Fantastic.
Hell yeah.
You know what? I meant to tell Matt Corey. I meant to tell Matt about the Out of the Black, how awesome the solos were.
Oh, God.
Unbelievable.
That was insane.
Yeah, isn't it crazy?
I think the tone, I think the overall tone on that song, too, is just, huge. We're talking about, just finding a sick rock tone. That's exactly, and you just get a bunch of kick-ass guitar players with sick rock tone. That's what it's all about, right? So
Awesome.
that's
Absolutely.
exactly what I was going for that song. So it was so exciting to have all
You
the
did
guys
it.
that were basically on this show as well, too, right? So yeah.
For sure. Well, night 2 will happen eventually once I get some more things in line here. My Wednesday shows are coming. Wednesday shows are coming to a little bit of an end. My kids get into soccer, and it'll be Wednesdays. But I got a couple more Wednesdays to go. But Sunday night will be rocking. And I'll tell you right now, this show is about to get super busy. There's some stuff coming up that's got to get announced. This thing is going to get really busy. There's going to be a lot of promotional things coming up, and hope to have you all, plus people who are watching out there. Hope to have everyone involved in some stuff coming up. But until then, we'll check you guys later. If I don't see you before July 12th, I'll be texting you anyway about the gear we're going to be using that night. And Luke Clement, I'm sure you guys know this. Luke Clement's part of my Summerfest committee too. So him and Thomas Henry are involved in that. So Thomas has been landing some sponsors, and Luke's going to be helping me with the back line for sure. And we're going to make sure you're all taken care of, and we're going to have a hell of a night that night. So awesome.
Yeah, we're in good hands.
Oh, it'll be good.
Hey, guys.
Right on, guys.
Coming, Joel. Thanks
right.
for
thanks for having us, man. That was fun.
Yeah, thanks, Joel.
Okay.
Good seeing you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you, Joel. Yeah, we'll see. Great to see everybody.
Okay,
Yeah, you bet. We'll see you guys
See y'all
soon.
later.
Later.